We're now a week into practice. We're coming off our first off day, so we looked relatively fresh this morning. We're going to train once more this evening, and then start to get ready for our opening weekend next week. The team's worked really hard, and I think we're in a really good spot. Obviously, there's some things we'd like to start cleaning up now that we get closer to matches, but again, we couldn't ask any more from them as individuals or as a group, and I think we're pretty excited right now to get going.
Coach, at this point, when you're just kind of getting started, what do you feel like is the one aspect of the game that kind of takes the longest to get clicking?
That's a good question. Right now, I mean, volleyball is such a game of mistakes and trying to limit those mistakes while still being aggressive. So I think that's the balance that we're trying to find right now. It's the only sport where the ball doesn't stop and you don't get to catch it and call a timeout mid-play. You have to kind of just adjust to things as they come. So, being the team that handles that better, I think, is our goal right now. And it takes time. It's why you go and watch juniors volleyball. That's the thing that they struggle with, and it doesn't necessarily go away as you get older. You just try to get a little bit better at it.
When you look at the schedule next week and you see your opponents, is it one of those like, okay, we got to be on our game right from the get-go?
Yeah, I think everyone's going to look at Clemson obviously as as a rivalry match, but ETSU is a really good team that returns most of their group. And Corpus Christi is coming off of a really good season as well, and they return a lot too. So, I think that's the challenge we've had for our group is don't just get excited for Clemson. The other matches are going to be as important at the end of the year when we're looking at trying to build our resume for the selection committee.
Just your own personal philosophy as a coach, do you kind of set concrete goals that you want the team to reach this year?
Yeah, no, we've actually, in some ways, I think it's important that we understand what we're trying to achieve nationally, but I think there's lots of different paths to that. So I think for us, it's more about trying to put together good practices, good weeks of play, and then you trust that over the course of the season, that's going to lead to more good results than bad. Although there will be, we're going to have some tough losses through this year, and how we respond to those. So I think that the thing that we're trying to preach from a coaching staff, and hopefully the team is taking this as well, is we want to be a consistent team that's really tough to play against, and the other coaches know are going to be a hard team to play against, and our fans know that we're going to put forth a really good effort, and they're going to enjoy coming and cheering for us and representing South Carolina.
Talk about what you want to do nationally. What exactly is that?
I think it's the same for everyone right now. If we look at where this program's been traditionally and over the last decade, we need to get back to the NCAA tournament, and that's something that if you're in the Power 5 conference, most schools are preparing to do that from an at-large bid. We don't get a conference tournament, so for us it's more about trying to build that season-long resume. So that's we can't wait until SEC play to start playing good volleyball. We need to be ready week one, and that's our focus right now.
Who are you expecting to step up and be the leaders of this year's team?
Fortunately we have a lot. It's not just we named captains Courtney Kaler, Mikhail Shields, and Jesse Turner. But we have a lot of leaders on this group. We've got some really good senior leadership that aren't captains, that all kind of handle different roles on our squad. But I think each position, that's one of the unique things about volleyball, is each position has its own characteristics. So obviously those three handle a lot of leadership, but you just listen to them in huddles, different people step up each day, and I think that's been something as a coaching staff we've been really impressed with.
And it's interesting, at South Carolina you kind of get the sense that all the teams kind of feed off each other, and you don't necessarily get that at every school.
Yeah.
The women's sports here have just been on fire recently. You got basketball, soccer, softball. Does your team kind of feed off of that energy?
Yeah, I think our team feeds off that energy. Our coaches feed off that energy. And anytime we're at an event, we get to see the coaches of other sports. We're always checking in on each other. We'll text each other and just say, good job after a big win. So that's something that as a department you take pride in. And I think as a program right now that's trying to build our way back to national relevance and national success, it's easy to look at the other sports and say, okay, what are the things that they're doing that are going to get us to that back to where we want to be. So I think that definitely fuels our group, and they want to be. The volleyball program wants to be one of those sports that other South Carolina teams look at and say, they're nationally successful, and we'll get there. But hopefully it's this year.
What does Michaela bring, both as a player and as a leader?
Shields?
Yeah.
consistency, I think, is consistently at a high level, and I think we're trying to get other people to understand what it takes to be successful at the SEC level, and then obviously nationally as an All-American. And she's good every day in practice, and she very rarely has bad practices or bad consecutive reps, and that's something when you look at young athletes who are just crossing over into their 20s, that's tough. That's a tough concept, and so she's very mature, both off the court, but then when she gets on the court, she has that mentality to stay aggressive, but keep her level of play at a high level. So. She's a lead by example type player, and you can never have enough of those.
You said All-American. Do you think that's a reasonable goal for her this season?
Yeah, it's a combination. I think she has to continue to improve as a player, and we don't want her to settle just because she's been successful. Also, it's going to take our team being successful and getting to the NCAA tournament, playing some more meaningful matches to help her build her resume individually as someone that can, be successful in the NCAA tournament. So I think all those things go hand in hand. Our players need to keep improving, and then as a group we need to get to more meaningful and more successful volleyball on a national stage, and we'll get there. And there's certainly no shortage of desire or effort from our players, and that's all we can ask for as coaches.